Chapter 74, The Swedes. Azer felt relieved that Topaz didn't blame him. She struggled to admit that she had taken on a secret task that she couldn't complete. They soon arrived at a villa in the residential area at the edge of the forest. Azer looked at Topaz and said, "We need to find a path around the villas that leads to the road." Topaz responded, "I don't want to wander around forever covered in this mess." As she parted the hedge to step into the garden, two black Labrador dogs appeared, barking aggressively. The dogs were about to jump through the hedge as they received an electric discharge from their collars. They whimpered, gave up, sat down, and kept grumbling. Topaz stepped back and apologized, "Sorry, guys." Seemingly amused, she approached the hedge again, provoking the dogs to bark and try to attack her. They crossed the hedge once more but got shocked again and sat down. Azer went ahead to the next property. He was surprised to find a campsite in such an upscale neighborhood. The caravans, lined up under tall trees, looked abandoned. Suddenly, a gunshot rang out. Azer turned and looked at Topaz. But the shot doesn't seem to be aimed at them. He spotted a drone hovering over the campsite, probably searching for them. Topaz and Azer quickly hid behind the nearest caravan. Another shot was fired, and a guy shouted in Swedish, "Private party. You're not welcome here." Azer was about to approach the man when Topaz protested, "That guy is shooting like crazy. We need to get out of here." Azer nodded, "Yes, but he's just a Swede. They have a long history of firing empty shots in the air, as they did during World War II when Denmark and Norway were occupied by Nazi Germany." Topaz, a few steps behind, added, "I vaguely remember learning about this in school in Australia, even though it's on the other side of the planet. But back then, I was 16, dealing with a teenage crisis. The pimples on my face filled so much of my life." The man looked surprised at Azer and then at Topaz approaching in the darkness. He asked curiously in German, "What do you want?" Azer glanced at the sky, now clear of drones, and replied in Danish, "Hey there. We just need you to help us, by calling a taxi." Excitedly, the man shouted to his wife, "Ebba, we've got a visit from some friendly Danes." They heard a woman speaking in Swedish from the opposite side of the caravan, "They're welcome." The man turned and gestured, "Join us. We're having a little party here." Azer and Topaz followed the man around the caravan. About 10 to 12 people sat around the bonfire. The man, back at his spot by the fire, reached into the cooler and grabbed 2 cold beers. He opened them and handed them to Azer. Pointing to empty chairs, he said, "Have a seat, please." Before Azer sat down, he introduced himself as Danish and Topaz as Australian. The Swede, Olaf, introduced his wife sitting next to him, Ebba. He motioned to the people around the fire, adding, "Here we have some old friends, along with a couple of our children and grandchildren." Azer passed one of the beers to Topaz, before taking a sip. He remarked, "It tastes good." Looking at the label that said, Bierlin, he said, "I've heard of this beer, but I've never tried it. Where can you buy it?" Without answering the question, the man gazed at the dark sky and said, "Not again. There's no peace. This is the 5th time in the past couple of hours they've appeared. Now there are even more of them at the same time." From the buzzing noise, Azer figured out that the man was referring to drones flying above them. He was convinced the drones were searching for them. Without looking at Topaz, Azer grabbed her sleeve and discreetly pulled it down, whispering in Spanish, "Don't look up." With the drones overhead, their best option was to mingle with the others. The man answered Azer's question, I get them from an ethnic grocery downtown. The shopkeeper claims there's cannabis in the beer. But the bottle doesn't mention it.